man speaking in the city square, trying to tell somebody that he cares. Can you blame the voice of youth for asking what is true? Yeah, the ones that you're calling wild are gonna be the leaders in a little while. When will the lonely voice of youth cry, what is true? This our world's waking to a newborn babe, and I solemnly swear it'll be their way. You better help that voice of youth find what is true. And the lonely voice of youth cries, what is true?
All right. Welcome, everybody. Nice peppy song to cheer you up. I've had a absolutely atrocious Friday the 13th, which is unusual because 13 is my lucky number. So who knew? Um, Sally Joe piped up with, well, they can't all be nice. I'm like, winsomeness. Uh, yeah. Wow, what a day. We'll see how the stream goes. I did all the notes in the past like 4 hours. Uh, so not all of them, but boy, boy, it's weird when the world just comes together to like hand you your stream notes because why not? Why wouldn't the world do that? Very strange. Very strange. So look, I got my Sampel, right? I've got my Muppet Cup. Have you considered? You should. It's important to consider. Good Sampel. And I've got my Table Rock tea. This is their winter leaf cold harvest, which is a unique tea to South Carolina. There's the box. Actually, it comes in these nice boxes. Okay, this one's empty, but you know, I like it. There's the Table Rock logo. That's Steve, or a caricature of Steve. It's quite a nice man. Yeah, if you're in Northwest South Carolina, you should go up there. Actually, they're like right on the border. Table Rock State Park is right on the border with North Carolina. Beautiful place. Oh, what a picture I took at their place. Oh, it's gorgeous. I have it somewhere. Can't remember where. Anyway. Yes, Dawn. 13 is my lucky number. Friday the 13th is usually my lucky day. Not this day. What a disaster. Oh my goodness. It was, yeah, like today was weird, right? Because I'm like, oh, what am I going to talk about? I don't know. I'll talk about Clown World and scientism and how the scientism and the perfectionism flips and creates the clown world, right? Like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good topic. Yeah, it's Wednesday. I'm sort of uninspired, right? Friday the 13th comes around. It's like exemplification time. Here's clown world exemplified here. Here's perfection thinking exemplified there. There's scientism everywhere. Another word for scientism might be fundamentalism, because they're they're not the same thing, but boy are they related. All scientists are fundamentalists, or almost all of them. Yeah, I woke up this morning and Tyler Hollett's back, and I'm like, oh, what? Tyler's back? So I was just like, well, that's interesting. I wonder what the hell happened for him to come back. He's got a long and storied history. We'll be going into the importance of history for sure. If you want to understand the clown world, you're going to need to understand history, baby. And then Paul Vanderklay does his wackadoo estuary live stream, and I'm just like, huh, there's dumpster fires, and then there's whatever this is, and attacks all over the place. Demons. You want to see demons? Go check out that live chat. people throwing around accusations that are just plainly false. Like, I don't even know. Like, you accuse me of this, huh? Oh, really? Well, scroll up. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. We'll get into some of this. Not maybe not directly. It's fine. You can always ask in the comments if you want. Super specific. What was the disaster called your day? Um, but before we get going, I'm gonna drop a little gem or two here, right? Um, and maybe this is more for Jesse than for the general audience, we'll say, but whatever. Newspapers ruined the world and led to comic books and pulp fiction, which made it worse. The disease bled into movies. Yeah, I'm just gonna ponder that one. I'm not saying it's definitely true or anything. I'm just saying, like, just drop that in there. And another point of logic, one that's been bothering me for a very long time, but I feel this is the right stream to mention it in. If the ancients used psychedelics to transcend, then it didn't work. Idiots. Like, can we be done with this? Like, I don't understand. Like, they did that and it didn't work. Oh, like, how dumb? Don't answer that. I don't want to know. Every time I find a new layer of dumb, I'm like, how? How? Like, I mean, must we persist with the illogical, irrational, unreasonable BS that cannot be correct? Like, is that the struggle is real? The struggle of people who think they're better than mitwits when clearly they're under the mitwit layer. They're definitely under midwits. Definitely. You see yourself on the top. That's probably because you didn't look up. Now, on to the news. This is the news with Gary Canoe. For all you great Space Coaster fans. Everything about this OnlyFans situation is bad. It's kind of incompetency all around. I mean, my competency crisis live stream vindicated entirely. It's a competency crisis. Incompetent parents, incompetent girl, incompetent documentarian. Yeah, this Lily Phillips thing is insane. The documentarian, that was his first documentary ever. That should have been obvious, by the way, but, like, fair enough if you didn't notice. We're living in weird times where there's a lot of amateurs doing things and claiming to be the thing that they sure as hell are not. But also, I mean, everyone's incompetent, right? And the thing is, people have already set up these little false dichotomies around like anti-capitalism is the meaning crisis, but the porn star represents the intimacy crisis, or you could link um both to sex, lack and abundance, right? You could understand it that way. Right, there's a deficit of sex here, so there's an abundance of sex here. um or you could link them into larger societal issues outside themselves. Like, you'd say, well, the porn star is the victim of a patriarchal culture, or the porn star and the man are both victims of social media culture or movements towards this celebritification of people, this 15 minutes of fame that a famous CIA infested artist named Andy Warhol. Oh, wait, never mind. Or you could blame their, quote, individual psychology, right? Do you see where this is going? How many valid, true, correct explanations are there? Oh, no. Single cause not found. Scientism denied. Science failed you. There is no single cause. Aristotle had 4. There may be a reason behind that. There might be a hint about reality. Could be. Lasted for thousands of years. Maybe he was onto something. How do you know competency? Can they do it as well as the people in the past could? Oh my God. Hanselman, yeah, soup can man. When the funny part is the soup can story is actually you want Clown World? Andy Warhol and the soup can controversy. It the meaning behind that art was actually not terrible. Uh, it's just that everybody misinterpreted it, and Andy screamed at them all, and it didn't work. Also, you can't be too hard on the guy. He used an Amiga. I'm just saying. Um, Proof of goodness, you decide. I've already made up my mind. But look, all around this, you have the parasitic nature of everything. So you get Elizabeth Warren, pure evil person. If you need the goods, let me know. I'll hand them to you all over. They're all over the place, right? If you weren't lazy, you'd look it up yourself and see that this is true, and there's actually zero evidence that there's a shred of goodness in her body. I mean, not technically. I can prove it. Like the evidence is there if you care to look. If you don't want to live in that world, you want to believe that world, welcome to clown world. You're the problem. Also, that's the world, right? So think about this, because I'm serious here, right? Upside down world indeed. You want more proof? She uses the CEO shooting to forward a personal war against the healthcare industry, which she helped to create. That's right. It's eating itself at two levels. Well, more than that, really, but we'll go with two. Calling for Medicare for all, but upset that the step towards Medicare for all has resulted in a shooting. And at the same time as being upset at the shooting, she's saying, aha, see, we need to get rid of these big healthcare companies. This doesn't make any sense. We need to get rid of the system that created the corrupt healthcare companies, which was centralization and getting in bed with the government. Everybody complains about industry taking over government and then calls for government healthcare. What do you think that is exactly? Do you think government being in the healthcare market is better than a big healthcare company taking it over government? Because that actually is exactly the same end result. You can't just mix and match the world the way you want. And of course, Medicare does the same thing as the result that we have, right? Medicare payments go out to businesses. They don't go to people. They go to businesses because the businesses supply the service. If you don't do that, everyone goes bankrupt tomorrow. Just how things have to work, how things have worked for thousands of years, right? And so it's a lie, and the woman has never told the truth. So you can be fairly sure that just take the opposite of what she says, they're going to be closer to the truth than what she says. That's for sure. But it's just impossible for that woman to tell the truth somehow. I don't know what's going on there. Is she possessed? Is ideological possession, whatever kind of possession you want to fool yourself into? But somehow it's hard for us to believe that that's happened. Right? But it's evident in the world. It happened. And we're just like inferring our way around the happenings. Right? That's what all this is. It's just there's a way in which this didn't happen. There's a way in which 2 + 2 = 5. There's a way in which men can be women and women can be men. And there's a way in which that can happen instantly at my whim when I wake up in the morning, or you know what? Just because I didn't have a sandwich and it's 11:30 in the morning. No. Well, why do I have to say this? And yet, I feel I do. Why? And there's another lovely trend going on. People pointing out what is wrong with, say, having a woman who is her financial manager sleeping with 100 guys. Now, advertising wanted to do 1,000 guys in 24 hours, no less. And the math is a little shaky on that, right? And yes, yet, the people who are pointing to this as a problem are getting demonized. I'm like, really? They're the problem? They're a problem those are the problem in the world, is the people saying, hey, what do we think about this? I don't think this is okay. And that's the problem. Really. What's up with that? Because victim and what's with the confusion? Like I feel like a prostitute. You are doing porn. Porn is actually a type of prostitution. Why is this hard? Like, I don't understand. It always was. It always will be. It always will have been. Like, I don't, like, how are you separating porn and prostitution? I don't get it. I'm genuinely bewildered. It's by any definition of the term prostitution, porn falls under it. Like, I don't even understand. How are people confused about this? And however, right, we're living in an upside down clown world, and that's more evidence, right? So welcome, I guess. Uh wow. So yes, it is confusing, but why? Why is it confusing? Right? This is what we must recognize. Why is there confusion about very simple things that 10 years ago would not have been a question? Maybe 11. See my live stream on 2014. And we have to stop inferring a solution or inferring a way the world is the way we want it to be rather than just accepting the observation. Let the observation, let the reality sink in. Don't think your way into it, sink your way into it. Shut up and pay attention. That's not just listen, by the way. Believe what's in front of you first and then start processing it. Don't start processing information that comes in right away because you're going to make it into what you wanted it to be. And then you go, I don't know what it is to be. Well, no kidding. That's because you won't let things be. You keep processing them. And you're stupid. So you can't. You're just going to make a warped version of reality out of your fantasy. That's what you're going to do. That's what people do. That is really the problem, right? Our ability to, using science, in particular, logic, reason, rationality, find a quote loophole, right, in some law or rule that we previously thought was perfect, ironclad, for sure. It's never going to not be this. And science ultimately has become a parasite on the imperfection of reality. And let me make the case here. Our emotions use logic, reason, and rationality to flip the world upside down because it's preferring our model of the world to the world. The problem is the world is much bigger than you are. The world, I've said this before, is technically larger than your imagination. Sorry, bro. There are unknown unknowns. And there are more of them than you can imagine. And we don't want the world to be as bad as our observations indicate it is. So we ignore it or we excuse it. We use our logic, reason, and rationality to infer our way into a better world. That's why you're in clown world. Because a lot of people are doing that, even if you aren't. Like, that's the worst part. Think about us who are not. We who do not do such things. We pragmatists. We have to watch all this unfold going, don't do that. Nope, that's gonna hurt. And then it's very sad. The perfect is the enemy of the better. Listen to what arguments people are using. They are almost always, this isn't perfect. Therefore, we must either tear down the system or fix it. And often their statements are just wrong about how it is because they were looking for a loophole, wanting to use logic, reason, rationality, implied judgment, implied a standard of perfection to prove that they needed the power or that their friends needed the power. And the thing is, just listening to them is power. And that's a problem. That's a big problem because they're looking for a perfect world and stating to you pretty much outright the world isn't perfect, so it has to change. And usually they're lying about that, which is ironic because you don't even have to. Right? There's corruption at every layer all the time, and there always has been, except for brief periods, which we call golden ages of whatever. Usually there's no sort of universal golden age where everything was golden for everybody. So if you look back in history, you can see the golden age of X and the golden age of Y. They're not universally applied, even, so we'll say, to the city. And that's the problem. And we're living in the tension of imperfection, right? Between the potential for the ideal and where you are now. Because time, what's the difference between time and entropy? I still don't know. They're not the same thing, but also they're intimately related. They have a quality and depth of relationship that cannot work out. Nor do I necessarily need to, by the way. How do we see the upside down? How do we see when something's upside down? How do we notice this flipped perfection, this clown world? Well, there's no irony. Things are funny because they're true. Not because they have some truth in them, but because they're just true and you know they shouldn't be that way. And comedians have been using this for years to try to get the world to change, sometimes to great effect, by the way, I would argue. Not all comedy is like that, of course, and some comedy is funny because, for example, Bill Cosby, I think it was in the 60s actually. Um, he has recordings from his stage shows, and he just like do things like talk about children from the adult perspective, right? But he'd play the child, which is even funnier. And yeah, also true. Also, misframing device. But when things aren't funny, just because they're true and people aren't necessarily laughing and the comedian's okay with that, you're in clown world, baby. At least that part of the world's flipped upside down. And then people telling you they're kidding, but there's no laughter. There's no indication that they're kidding. They don't act as if they're kidding, right? In order for something to be funny, you need contrast. You need contrast to see. You need contrast to see the amusement. You need contrast to see irony. You need contrast to see people making a joke. You need contrast with these things. If it's not there, the world is flipped and flat. And standards are required, and they're hard to see without contrast. So you need to use the past. And not just past standards, but past behavior. Because we often infer standards from behavior, but behavior is the result of standards usually. And yeah, a lot of standards are set by behavior too, but also statements of standards are imperfect. Behavior is a much more intimate, rich, deep way of communicating something and less prone to error, which is important. This is why you need to burn all books. Books are very prone to error and super prone to misinterpretation. I just put out my Lies of Plato's Cave, book 10, basically. I had to rename it today because I get yelled at. Um, so I did. I can do what I'm told. It's not hard. Um, I mean, if if somebody who is like, we'll say at the end of science or materialism or age of gnosis or whatever, went into philosophy for like answers on life, the universe, and everything, roughly speaking. I know I'm glossing over a bunch of stuff. I get that. And they turn to Plato and they read Plato's Republic and they read the end of book 10, which is the end of the book, and they don't close the book and walk immediately to the nearest church. I don't know what's wrong with them, but they're broken beyond belief. Probably can't read. They have low reading comprehension. Um, I don't know. Demons. I can't process. Cannot. If that's where you're looking for your answers, and you didn't see the clear line to Anglo-Orthodoxy at the end of the book that ends on the story of a resurrection, I don't. I can't. I I don't know. Look at the lies of Plato's cave. Like I don't. And I saw another video come out. Plato's. Oh, it wasn't a video. It was a text summary, and I read it, and I'm like, "What did you read? None of this is in Plato's Republic. Half of it isn't in the allegory of the cave, but is in book 8, but contradicts what you're writing. Like, I don't even know, like, what is happening? Oh, the Matrix is a rewrite of the allegory of the cave. Really? Really? They should try reading it and maybe read all of book 7. I don't know. Because maybe the story, which I don't think is an allegory, at the end, which is designed to contrast with the cave, which is the first opening part of the same book, would tell you a lot about the message of book 7. See my video. It's all right there. I've got all the passages. You can go reference your own freaking copy and judge for yourself. If an iota of what I'm saying is even slightly inaccurate, just let me know. Let me know. I'll engage. I make mistakes. Could happen. You have to use the behaviors. You can't just use what you interpret as the standards, because then you'll infer where they came from and you'll be wrong because you weren't there and you don't know where they came from. And you're a Muppet. I'm a Muppet. We're all Muppets. It's fine. Get over it. Also, accept it. And sure, women weren't allowed to vote. Is that worse? Do you have evidence? Correlations in the wrong direction. Did you know that the women voted not to have the vote? But the upper class, resentful, wealthy women forced it on them in spite of their wishes? Odd. Eh? Patriarchy is good. Lovely video. Father Eric and Adam, my trusty, rusty friend. We'll do Russian Revolution eventually. We got away from both of us. But it's back on the docket. Hopefully this month. We'll see. It's Christmas. Whatever. I'm not traveling, so hopefully I'll get work done. Identifying clowns. Do they say true things that have a relationship in the world? Or do they just say true things and connect them on their own? Ha. Do they fool you with their whimsy while enchanting you with their words? Are you so busy being amused and enchanted that you cannot hear their spells? Are you sure? Clowns have separated themselves from the norm to provide contrast, usually for entertainment, sometimes to scare you. And they are not in control of that entirely. Some people are scared by clowns, and the clowns are upset by this. They don't want to be scary. That happens. How interesting. And the thing is, knowing reality is easy. Look for the patterns that don't go away. Let me give you a very, very, very old pattern. By internet standards, it's ancient, but it's nothing to do with the internet. People just go, ooh, internet new, therefore this new. And it's like, oh my God. Internet new implementation, not new thing. Just faster communication, guys. Sorry. If you need me to demystify the entire internet and how almost all of it works, I can actually do that off the top of my head. Maybe someday I'll do such a thing. No, really, yeah, my father was on the internet committee. I don't even know what to tell you at this point. I still have IP addresses from the early 90s that I've held ever since. I know a lot about this. A lot. I was on the internet in the 80s. I don't know what to tell you. X versus Blue Sky. So Blue Sky has come to the conclusion that perhaps it needs something like a community notes service. So all the people that fled because of things like community notes went to Blue Sky, and now you need community note. Wait a minute. Have you seen the movie Scarface? Did you note the set and setting? Because no one ever does. For Scarface, they've lost the art of set and setting. But didn't people born too late didn't notice set and setting anyway. So Scarface is based on a real person. That person was let out of a real prison in Cuba when a real federal government in the 50s or 60s, I don't know. It was before I was born. 70s? I don't know. Our federal government in the United States said, we will take any refugees from Cuba. So Castro opened the prisons and sent them all on boats. And we got Scarface. In fact, we had a big crime wave. Like Florida was a catastrophe. Apparently, I've read about this. It's like, what? And you read about it. You're like, this is bonkers. When I first went to Florida, it was gorgeous. Southern Florida was absolutely, it was beautiful. I didn't get to Key West. I got to Marathon Key though. Jet skis off of Marathon Key on December 28th, something like that. Gorgeous. Evil girlfriend, but damn Canadians. Long story. That's why I hate Canada. These sorts of methods in the electronic realm of like constraining what people say or being able to correct the information that they put out. That's every internet system that's come and gone. There have been thousands. I remember a couple years ago on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is more or less dead from what I've been told. Haven't used it myself in a billion years. All the good people left. Or almost all of them. This guy named Alex, he was drunk. Alex was often drunk on Clubhouse, to be fair to Alex. I like Alex. Alex is an interesting guy. Was talking in a room with my buddy, Dr. Lantern Jack. Check out Ancient Greece Declassified. Great stuff. He was saying Musk is going to take us to Mars and we'll be able to start a government fresh from scratch, which is just laughable. When you bring people with you, they bring expectations and ideas about government with them. It's almost like we convey all the things of the world I don't know. Probably in a book somewhere that no one's read or maybe not interpreted correctly. My buddy Jack had to speak up and say, Alex, we know how forms of government work out with people. The ancient Greeks tried over 1,000 forms of government and wrote extensively about the problems with all of them. That's what Jack said, man. He's the guy with the PhD in quote ancient philology because he doesn't want to be called a philosopher because he doesn't like those people. He's interviewed them. Always find that amusing. Love Jack to death. Too bad he's already married. I'm just saying. Yeah, he's Jack's awesome. We were in a clubhouse room once defending the idea that modern philosophy was all BS. Just him and I. It was great. We won. That was awesome. These patterns are there and they've been there. And unless you look at the past, you won't see the patterns. If you pretend that it's so much different now that the past doesn't apply, you won't see the patterns. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. What's a rhyme? It's a pattern of speech. For real. Oh no. Ah. Knowing reality is easy. It's part of it is that which objects to your subjective experience. Something rubbing you the wrong way, it's probably reality. Sorry, bro. And how do we identify the clowns again? People refuse participation. Clowns. Clowns are a part. They're there to amuse or scare. Either could emerge because emergence is not good. Oh, I'm going to sit outside the system and dress funny and break the norms. Yeah, and you're not in control of what emerges, dude. I said this earlier. The clown may intend to amuse, but actually end up scaring. It's not under the control of the clown now, is it? Not total control. And imagine that. You don't have control of your impact on the things outside of you. How very odd. It's almost like you were born into a world that was bigger than you. And because it's bigger than you have a limited impact on it. And its impact on you is much greater. Nah, materialism is bad. So you might say, I can participate with them. Yeah, maybe you can participate with them in entertainment. But will it participate with you? Technically, you are a slave to your entertainment. I mean that in every possible way. I just want to turn my brain off and be entertained. I agree. You need rest. If the participation isn't reciprocal, that might be okay. Everybody needs entertainment, but it also might be important. It might tell you something really important. Maybe it can only ever just be entertainment. That might be really significant. Things are not equal. The world is asymmetrical. How else can we find these bad actors, this upside down behavior, these clown world problems? Well, look, whenever you see a failure to call out bad behavior, or do people just call it out selectively? Maybe one person's bad behavior, they're doing exactly the same thing, gets called out, and another person's doesn't, even though they're doing exactly the same thing. Because I've seen that many times, especially on you see that online all the time, all the time. And that might be okay, but you should know if that's what's happening, and you should know who's doing that, and you should maybe understand their motivations. It's not necessarily a bad thing. right? Some people can control themselves with their alcohol. If they take a drink, it's not bad. You don't want your alcoholic friend taking even one drink. It's not like that's a guaranteed tell, but you should know that that's going on, right? You should know if people are calling out behavior that isn't happening and labeling it bad, especially if it's implicit. Now, implicit means they didn't bring the evidence, they didn't bring the goods, they didn't bring the examples. They just said, "Oh, you're bad," or worse yet, they said, "I don't know why you're doing this." How interesting. Now, they may say that as part of a longer thread, in which case it's contextualized, it's fine, but maybe as recently as today in a live stream chat, I've seen this behavior and I'm like, this is not good. This is upside down. And another tell is people that do not choose sides because they cannot be trusted. If you stand nowhere, you're unreliable. You can choose whimsy, winsome, fence sitting, but you cannot act from that stance honestly. Where are you standing? Right? Because you don't stand anywhere. And beware of those people. Right? And it's better to choose quickly and wrong and switch later than it is to sit on that fence for too long. And yeah, there's a time to sit on the fence. It's just a short time. You better get it over with damn quick. The quicker, the better. That pattern is in every good business book you will ever read. It is in every good book on management that you will ever read. It is in every good book on entrepreneurship that you will ever read. Might be a pattern. People who agree with a point being made, who cannot themselves restate or recapitulate that point, that's a danger zone. That's a danger sign. They might have been enchanted. They might have heard something that made them feel good, but doesn't change their lives. That's a problem. I just want to read from my upcoming text because I think the Wisdom Community Workbook project is actually going to get done this year somehow. Miracle of miracles. So one of the things I'm working on here is sort of explaining to people who are running these communities or who want to learn more about running communities, even if they're, we'll say, not running the communities, uh, things to kind of look out for. And that's important, right? Like, you want to know what to look out for. You want to know how you came to the conclusion you came to. You want to know how certain you are about a claim you've made or just something you believe. You want to know why something's important to you, why you're defending the thing you're defending. When you've engaged with something, how's your thought or action changed as a result? If it hasn't changed, maybe that was entertainment. Did you know that was entertainment? And what action or change will you make based on information that you got? And look, if someone's claiming that there's bad behavior, that's fine. But if somebody asks, like, what's my bad behavior? And you can't provide them with an example of their bad behavior, then maybe you tell them once, but then shut up. Maybe apologize because, and I'm serious about this, because calling somebody out but giving them no way to fix it is a transgression. First of all, you're probably wrong. It's probably you, not them, if you can't explain it. It's impolite and unhelpful. It's an indicator that you're possessed. Why give people unactionable information? We have too much information already. If it's not actionable, well, why? That destroys the world. Don't do that. I'm kind of using the world at the moment. Can you explain your complaint to a stranger? That's how you tell if it's you. It's not 100%, but it isn't like 99%. I'll take 99%. Can I get that in my lottery odds? That'd be wonderful. If you claim a pattern but cannot show a pattern of behavior, we'll say over time, then the pattern's you. If you're the one getting upset all the time at someone's behavior and their behavior isn't something you can point to as consistently bad, that's you. That's good to know. That's very useful. How do we know if someone's trying to enchant us into, let's say, bad behavior or less than helpful behavior or however you want to think of it? Are people pointing to something that you cannot change? And again, I mean, maybe they're not giving you anything to do at all. Oh, we have to take care of the climate. What? We all need to. If we band together, we can. Yeah. People don't just randomly band together. I hate to break it to you. That's called a mob. Do I need to go into like mob psychology and no? We all need to. You can't change others. It's not a solution. And the fact that it's true that if we all did, X would happen is A, unprovable, and B, it's not relevant. Ah, relevance realization. Indeed. Indeed. It's a good tell for evil, by the way, right? We must fix climate change. What are you talking about? You can't do that. And you can do your part, but you don't need somebody else's help for that. But beyond that, I mean, and that's personal to you. There's nothing more to be done by you. Sorcerers indeed. Right. People that point at abstractions to fix. Right? Like, oh, we just need to change the government. The government is an abstraction of people, groups of specific people inside a structure. Or, group fixes. I mean, these people aren't serious. Right? They're not serious. How about we need to make it better? Not we need to fix. How's that? And even if the group these people are in charge of will say, you see this trope in movies, right? The king tries to become tyrannical and he's overthrown. It doesn't work. No irony in the world? Clown world. Things aren't funny because they're too true? Clown world. We've lost humor? Conspiracies don't exist? Clown world. This is all signs of the upside down. And what is the immediate result of the proposed solution? Is it to tear something down with no plan to rebuild it? Because that's all I ever hear. Or the plan to rebuild it is we'll make it better. But that's not a plan. You tear down a structure, you damn well better have a plan to rebuild it. And it better be a highly detailed plan that is implementable. because a lot of plans just aren't implementable. They're great plans, they would work if they were possible, but they're not possible. Joseph claims his imagination is huge. It's not as big as the world. I don't know if I'm clown world. Yeah, monologue. You have to go and you don't want to miss the answer. That's not my fault. It's a recorded video. John, my golden age was 1991 to 2001. Yeah. Golden age in what respect, too, right? I had many golden ages, all on different things. Sally Joe would like a refund from Clown World. The manager. I don't know. Yes, John, I get yelled at over a title. You can see that in the video. I might be hyperbolic occasionally. I don't know. In a pirate's suit outfit? No, probably not. Um, Sally Joe, we got wonderful comments on the title. All comments are welcome. No, we didn't. We get 2 crappy comments on the title. Oh, Joseph is back, I suppose. Hello, Joseph. Infotainment. Oh, Sally, we will get to the whole more information will not help video someday. I might do it this weekend. I thought I was going to do videos today. And then Tyler showed up on the meaning code and did the Tyler enchantment thing. And then there were like 3 comments like, "Oh, this guy's awesome. He's so smart." And I was like, he didn't say anything at all. At all. He made not one concrete statement about not one thing in the entire universe, which has been his pattern since his existence. You look into the guy's history and you're like, this is a dumpster fire of a human being. Might be the kidnapping thing. Anyway, Sally Joe, more chats get read on the NP channel chat market. Not have I do have an aggregate system, Sally. I've got StreamYard. StreamYard gets all the comments from all the sources, or at least claims to. Benjamin Franklin, I wonder if fruit flies think about death. Why do you do this? Why? Just why? That's all I want to know. Yon God, I like how to fix means repair, and to fix also means to make static and permanent. Language is fun. That is true. We've lost the symbolic. These symbolic understandings of the world fix all those problems. Ironically enough, in both meanings of the word. Ironically enough, because when you understand context, so you have to go before the quote postmodern. This is why modernity is a garbage frame. See my video. You have to go before the postmodern movement to understand no frames matter, and that's what determines meaning. Right. Benjamin Franklin. Am I going to regret this, Benjamin? Am I? Let's find out. I think that reflection on the life of a fruit fly changed me a lot. Birds of a feather. They live for only 2 weeks. Oh, if only. I saw one be born, live a normal life, have kids, and die. I guess I don't have any comment to that, Benjamin Franklin. I guess I don't have any comment to that. Young God, except maybe and why, Young God? Maybe you have some insight on this because this is about the most puzzling thing I heard. I don't even understand the weird random coincidences that led me back into that alleged quote corner of the black hole of talk out your behind and be dumber than a midwit and think the problem is the midwits. Um, you came up in a context and basically, I think it was David. I like David. David seems like a nice guy, but like also, like, what are you doing? He said, well, yeah, if you engage with Yon God and the statements behind the statements, and you actually talk to him, and I was just like, wait, are you saying that all trolls are people? Like, I didn't understand. Can you shed some light for me on that? Whatever it is happened? Because I don't know what David saw, but I'm like, are you saying trolls are people too? I don't, because that's what he said. I was just like, this is a very strange statement to make. Are you are you sure trolls are people too? Like, I don't like. Is this a surprise that the trolling is done by a person and they have a life and that life is of a nature? And And maybe this is an opportunity for mimicry. So I went over this before in my first conversation with PBK, like 3.5 years ago now, 4 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was. It's a very old video. Like trolling was a game that we used to play on the internetses, on the early internetses before the webs, right? And there was a point system, and there was a process, and there were unwritten rules. And I was pretty good, by the way. Um, and I think the problem is that a lot of people model trolling behavior as normal behavior because they just grew up on the internet or something, and I did not. So thankfully. So I think what we're seeing is like third generation trolling where they're trolling, people are trolling and they don't know they're trolling. I don't know. It's a little theory I've been kicking around because I just don't understand why they just don't understand any of it, right? I don't understand why a lot of people I call them out, I say stop trolling, and they stop immediately. They go, "Oh, you know I'm trolling. I know I'm trolling. I'll stop trolling," or something like that, right? Some people I call them out, and they go, "I'm not trolling," and I show them that they're trolling. They go, "Oh," and then they stop, right? And then some people who call them out, they keep going because they're trolls, and trolls gonna troll. And we never did that in the past, by the way. That wasn't how it started. So, yeah, I just thought it was weird that you came up in that context, and I didn't know if you had any insights on that. I think certain persons expect more. Antagonism, yes. And strange antagonism is often interpreted confusedly. Yeah, that's a good insight. I like that. Because I antagonize in a strange way, it's assumed to be trolling, for lack of a better term. Yeah, it's a really good insight. See, I'm glad I asked. It's a good insight. Yeah, I think a lot of people they mistake truth for antagonism because the truth is antagonistic if you're wrong. Like, I don't, and you're wrong about most things most of the time. So, like, who cares? Like, why is this a big deal? You're antagonistic. But what if I'm telling the truth? Like, does the truth not matter because antagonism? Because, like, I don't, anyway. Yeah, I think that's right. Um, I actually like that insight. That really helped. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, they talk about opponent process and they get upset about trolls. I'm like, trolls are like the ultimate opponent processors. Do you not see the irony in the position you're holding, which is in what's called an inherent contradiction? You can't say, I hate trolls and I love opponent processing. Uh, uh, does not compute, does not, like I don't, what is wrong with, why are they all this dumb? And then they're like, humans are rational creatures. You're not human if that's true because your rationality is almost non-existent. Your logic is terrible and your reasoning is negative a million. Like, I don't even, like, you better hope that's not true. If that's what makes you human, you're a freaking rock, bro. Like, you're a talking rock. Idiots. They're all idiots. Oh, it is delightful and amusing. Also, morons. But yeah, that was helpful. See, I'm glad I asked. Benjamin Franklin, because of the long time, I think we overestimate the time between the void and the void. I don't know why you think self-reference is a valid way to communicate. I think Grimgriz called it picking the axiomatic lantern or so. If you listen to sorcerers and they tell you nonsense because they enchant you, that's on you. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't listen to sorcerers, please. What do we got? We got Dawn. Well, we are living in a world with lawn signs that say kindness is everything. That is true, Dawn. Yeah, that's definitely part of the problem. Anything that's not kind, the truth is not kind. Time is not kind. Beauty is not kind because it goes away. Like, what the hell? Right? And goodness might also not be kind because it's not kind to only be nice to people. It's not kind to give a woman who wants to sleep with 100 guys her choice because it's her body. It's not kind. Ironically, again, if 100 men were to refuse to sleep with her, which doesn't work, by the way, right? Because there's 9 billion people on the planet. Half of them are men, roughly speaking. So would have to be all those men refusing her. That would be the patriarchy saying, your body, my choice. We're going to deny your choice and not sleep with you, even though that's your decision. And they don't see the inherent contradiction. Like, these people are all dumb. I can't deal with them. Sally Joe. People also mistake disagreeable nature as trolling. Sometimes, maybe. Some people are just not there for social niceties, and it's not because they are haters. They just aren't good at the implicit social whatevers. I think there's three things there. Some people are disagreeable, and they're perfectly friendly and polite, and it's not a problem. Some people have bad social skills, and that can be a problem, and how you deal with that matters. And that's the loss of politeness. I'm going to talk to Rachel Fulton Brown about that. I think that's our topic for our next convo. Don't know when that's going to be. Probably next year. Depends on schedules and whatever. I asked her to watch a couple videos of mine, or maybe just one. I don't know. But my channel's a rabbit hole. She could watch my whole channel. It would take a while, but she could. Yeah, and I think that some people, like, being disagreeable is nice. Like, it's good to have they talk about opponent processing, and then when it comes to them, they whine about it. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Like, why are you whining about the thing you say is good? I don't understand. Benjamin Franklin, I like it when people disagree. Well, that's good. It also explains your ridiculous behavior, which is why I like Mark. Oh, wonderful. The anti-Hegelian Hegelian. That's the most Hegelian statement of all time. That's amazing. I hate Hegel. I would definitely build a time machine and shoot him. Goethe had a lot to say about Hegel. They were contemporaries. I'm just saying, look it up. Dawn, I don't understand the popularity of Grizz. He's a sorcerer. I find his channel dark and disturbing. Yes, because you're not prone to sorcery. That's correct. Defense against the dark arts indeed. Dawn has it already. She ain't going to get it from the evil dark sorcerer. Weird. And he's mostly incomprehensible. That is correct. No, it is not just you. And I'll just say, I don't like doing this, but actually, maybe this is my bad. I should have done this sooner. We've had lots of people come to us and say, I was enchanted by Grizz. He was telling me bad things. It made me worse. Some of these people have told me that they are having mental issues, right? And that was making them worse. Some people have said the same thing about BOM, by the way. I don't like calling this stuff out, but if they're going to be like this, then I'm just going to tell the truth. And now they're really going to have to deal with it. There's a big history, 6+ years of history. I don't know all of it. I wasn't there for 6+ years, that's for sure. But also, maybe pay attention to that before you go trying to knock me down, who was there very early on, saw what was going on, has been trying to help ever since, has pulled a bunch of refugees out of both those spaces. Thank you very much. You're welcome. They've been grateful. So I don't like to point this out, but also force my hand. Go ahead. I'm holding all the cards and you have none, but if you want to play poker that way, go right ahead. I like to win. I don't think you should. But if that's what you want to do, leave me with no choice. See how it goes. Sally Joe, when you misuse religious music for your clout, you are wrong. And it makes me angry. Yeah. Also, when I spent this time, Sally, I can see the cover of the book now. It has an ashtray on it with a cigarette in it. It's a 1970s book, I believe. And I can't remember the fucking title or who wrote it. Anyway, it was a book on the original, we'll say, would that be a first generation Edward Bernays marketing techniques that the advertising companies were using? I swear to God, he picked it up and just copied all the stuff. It's all in there, like how to do subliminal marketing. That's what it was called. It was called like subliminal marketing or something. But it was about subliminal marketing, the marketing techniques the cigarette companies were using to get people to smoke in the old days. Excuse me, in the 50s. So, I should pin my my join link, huh? Let me do that. So I recognized a bunch of those things from the beginning of the estuary stream. And when I pointed them out, I got nothing but, "Hey, you're so mean." And I'm trying to point something out to you that might be important and save your life. But hey, if you want to think I'm mean, go right ahead. I don't care. Yeah, what was that? Was it called subliminal marketing? I don't know. I'll look it up someday. I was literally sitting here just before the stream going, "Oh yeah, that's that book. Oh yeah, it's in the office. And it's right here on this box with all these other books." And I can like name most of the books in the box. And I'm like, "Yeah, but this one's on top and I can see half the cover." And I'm like, "You son of a bitch brain. Why are you doing this to me?" But yeah, all the techniques that were in that clip or are generally found on Grizz's channel are in that book on subliminal marketing. Is that is that this is like the I forget whose stream it was, must have been Jacob's stream. I was on and people were like, "Well, yeah, but defense against the dark arts works." And I'm like, There is no defense against the dark arts. What are you talking about?" And they were well, not in that way, but they were like, "Well, you don't think the die roll works?" And because of course the die roll works. Did you listen to what the die roll is for? Because you didn't. I know you didn't already. If that's your example, I can be 100% sure you weren't listening to a word he said. The die roll that Grimm does is to give you up to a generous whopping 50% off his mind control that he's about to do to you in the stream. So yes, the guy who's mind controlling you and then granting you 50% off his mind control, yes, that works. However, you're already 50% into the mind control, even if you win the die roll. Did you defend yourself against the dark arts? I don't think so. Like, I don't think that's what that means. um, Subliminal Seduction, Wilson Brian Key. Don't think so. What does the cover look like? Is it from 1970? It would have been the first edition. This is how my brain works. Sorry, Sally. I mean, that's part of the problem is that if you didn't notice all that, what are you doing anywhere near that person? like, like really? What are you even doing near that person? That's unbelievably dangerous to be around. And like, I'm not saying nobody ever, but probably not you. Probably not you. I did read Subliminal Seduction, Sally. Yeah, the one there must have been two. Thanks for the gift. Yeah, I did read Subliminal Seduction. There's another one though. I don't remember what it is. But yeah, the I read Subliminal Seduction, the one with the glass and the ice. Yeah. There's another one with an ashtray and it's brown. Anyway, and all those books got stolen. I'm sure it's somehow my fault that somebody destroyed all the memories of my dead mother and stepfather. Yeah, that's definitely not pure corruption by courts and lawyers or anything. Certainly not. And evil people who are thieves and criminals and should be imprisoned. No, not at all. I remember William Bryan Key now. Yeah. Subliminal Seduction is one of the books. I think a bunch of them came out around the same time, but they were basically talking about the how the advertising companies were using embedded words inside pictures. All the stuff they talk about on the internet was already there in print in the 50s. and on through the 60s and 70s and et cetera, et cetera. Dawn, I showed up in TLC. Well, it's really the Peterson sphere. It's funny, they brought up Peterson like 5 or 6 times, and it's still somehow a corner of corners. Nobody puts baby in a corner. I'm just saying. I asked several times what savings throws there were, but no one would answer my question. Yes. They won't answer. But he tells you flat out what they are, right? You pick a die, you get up to 50% protection against his mind control. That's what it is, right? But if you're buying into that already, of course it works. You've already bought into the lie, right? But also you've already bought into being at least 50% enchanted. I don't know. Is that a good trade? It seems like a trade-off. And if you want something funny, my first conversation with him, which was a little off the rails just because I could never understand what he was saying. My second conversation with Grim Grizz on his channel, he rage quit his own stream, which is hysterical. But somebody watched it and they were like, yeah, that was a little weird. And I'm like, yeah, he rage quit his own stream. And he went, oh my God, you're right. And then he just burst out laughing once he realized that's what happened. It was pretty funny. Is that online? As far as I know, all of the stuff I've done is online, except my stuff with Chris Picow. Although I haven't checked Chris's channel recently. I asked Chris, like, you don't put up on your channel, but I like the videos because I had great conversations with Chris. I don't even know if I'd want them online, but I mean, some of them. But yeah, I would just put them in a thing and feed them into the AI and whatever. Why am I doing this? All right, Benjamin Franklin. Maybe the subtle allegory is that all utterances have a hint of colonialism. You're not making any sense. Even if I say something like saber tooth in the bush, I want to convince, yeah, you don't speak without wanting to move the world. That's everybody knows that. I don't know what to tell you. Sally, they won't assume because it's blatant witchcraft and a pastor is condoning witchcraft. It's ugly. Yeah, they won't answer. That's true. And yeah, I think Baptists for the win. The Catholics would never be so blunt. This is where Catholicism fails utterly. I like. I got to check out Mark D. Parker's Woo channel because unlike how interesting, I heard the best Woo story that I've heard. I love Woo stories because I always I can't process them, so I just go like, okay, and then the next time I hear one, I'm just as amazed. I'm like, I've heard worse, but also every time it works every time. I love it. Yeah, maybe Castle will tell that one on stream someday. It was awesome. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's all verified by the church. I'm like, what? Wait, what? That's crazy. That's completely insane. And yeah, there's so many good. And then I was telling him a Woo story I heard from the Orthodox church down the road here that I go to occasionally. So the Orthodox Church, the guy there who's, I guess he's writing a book about the holy fire thing, and I guess that comes out of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre or something. But it only comes to the head of the Greek Orthodox Church. It won't go to anyone else. And there's all this, they've had scientists check this stuff out, and it burns without burning. So it's a flame that'll last up to, I think, 48 hours or something crazy. And it just burns without consuming. And they've studied it, and they have temperature readings on it and everything, infrared cameras and the whole 9 yards. And they just have zero explanation for it. And they don't even know where it comes from. They don't know how it's transferred because the transfer is not reliable, we'll say, not in a scientific fashion. But because science splits up the world and looks for all these loopholes, but then when there's a loophole that science doesn't explain, it just goes, no, it can't be real. And I've mentioned this before, one of the great lies of science, the one that I love the most, is they keep saying, well, there's no scientific evidence for the stuff in the Bible. And yet, whenever anybody goes to do an actual scientific investigation about a story in the Bible, it's more confirming than anything else, which I find amusing. And they always leave that little piece out where there's no scientific evidence because we've never looked at it. Well, then, of course, there's no scientific evidence, you idiot. Also, scientists are idiots. The two words should be synonyms at this point. They weren't 50, 60, 70 years ago, but they are now. Sorry. I didn't do that to you. You did this yourselves. And then when they look, it's like, oh, there was a flood. Oh, there was a parting of the sea. Oh, it's on and on and on with these people. Oh, My aunt's told me this before. I don't know if it's true because I've never actually looked into it. She said every single person who tried to write a book debunking the resurrection, like who moved the stone is a famous one. I actually have that somewhere. I think it's in the shed. They end up on the other side of the argument. I'm like, what? That would be bonkers. Also, again, every time science looks into something about the Bible, it's like, oh, young God. I honestly kind of like the Carney Casino theme he has for a show. Yeah, I don't dislike his show. I just wish he could break the fourth wall. You can't ever break the fourth wall by definition. This is one of the problems people don't understand. Like, the camera can never see itself fully, even in a mirror, even in a bunch of mirrors. It's still not physically possible, right? And explain what he's doing. Oh, he said many times he wants to jump on the fourth wall and break it down for you, which would necessarily kill him. So I'm kind of up in the air. Maybe he should succeed. Sorry. Not sorry. Instead of remaining ambiguous behind the fourth wall. But you're not getting around the fourth wall problem ever. This is the self-transcendence thing. You can't self-transcend. That doesn't make any sense. And that's the problem. Everybody wants a higher rationality that isn't the creator. But there isn't a higher rationality because it would have to be the creator. I'll take your assessment under consideration. I do appreciate that, sir. You've been most helpful tonight. It turns out, by the way, guys, Yon God is a person. David. I feel bad for David. It's like the most obvious statement of all time. Trolls are people too. Really, David. I didn't see that coming. I don't know. But that was hysterical. Poor guy. David, the other David, Grim Grizz David, editing skills are excellent. I just wanted to use his powers for good. Attempted to work with him several times. Yeah, see, this is right. This is a hint. You look into someone's history, like Tyler or David, Grim David, and you find out lots of people have tried to work with them to help them make their dreams come true with no strings attached, and they've refused. I know somebody who to this day has been offered on several occasions the investment resources to start their own news organization, which they're very passionate about news being broken, and they will not do it. Dun, dun, dun. And every time they complain, people pop up and go, your friends are here waiting for you. We'll invest. And very wealthy friends, by the way. Hollywood contacts, the whole 9 yards. It's really bizarre. Also, they don't want to participate. People have been invited. You're welcome to come on streams. They won't do it. No shade, right? No, whatever. You're not comfortable. You can't, whatever. But they don't come after the people. Like if you're not willing to engage with somebody and find out what they're all about, don't demonize them. Like that's a demon in you, for sure. If you've been invited and you turn them down, that's fine. Just part friends. Like, why do you have to be like that? There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to do that. Right? Tyler Hollett's been offered all kinds of things and he's turned it all down and he's had help and he screwed it all up and he's been kicked out of like 7 online communities that I know of. There must be a reason for that. Right? Oh, building the Metagora. Yeah, we gave him a bunch of free help and QA'd his product. I set up a whole QA ticketing system and bang. Nothing but demonization. Lies, all the lies. The lies that guy tells. Also, says nothing. Again, is it something you can participate in? Can you participate in the group dynamics that lead to an online community that won't be toxic? No. No, that's not even a thing. Sally Joe, David bought my first pod project. I sent him bronze art from school. Yeah, you did. We worked on the Sorting Myself Out channel with Mercury Black. Oh, yeah. Well, there's a whole story behind that. I designed Mercury's Magenta Phoenix. You didn't spell Phoenix right, Sally. Why can't you spell? Spend all that money on art school. You should spend all that money on spelling school. I can't spell either, but I'm dyslexic. Yeah, young God, you're probably not familiar with Sally Jesnumer's products or projects, but she is in fact building her studio, and her kiln is nearly ready. So she will be doing sculpting again soon. She's got to up her herb game first. We'll just say that. I don't want to give anything away. But yeah, working on it. We're working lots of good things coming. I think Castle's gonna help me get my book done, my workbook. And then everybody will be able to build wisdom communities throughout the world. And despite people stopping that project on and off for 3 years and doing everything they could to make sure it didn't happen. Now we have super castle to the rescue. So yeah, it's good. It's good to have people that can help and will help and keep going. Sally Joe, I prepaid with selling my life to the army. Yes. Soldiers sold to the US federal government. And now you got to go to art school. Find out it was all a scam and she should have learned to spell. You knew I was going to let you off the hook, Sally. All right, nobody wants to join me? Nobody loves me? Does the link work? It should. I know Castle's busy. He doesn't love me anymore. Fine, he's working on the book. He did a bunch of work today. I got to go look at it. I'm like, ugh. I glanced at it, but I didn't really have the. Hurrah for Sir Castle. Yes, indeed. Hurrah, indeed. Couldn't be happier. Sally Joe, I wanted estuary to be a Christian business certification, but no takers. Christianity doesn't make any sense post Reformation, Sally. You know better. Anglo Cathodoxy, please. The Reformation has destroyed the meaning of Christianity. They try to parasite their way to being a real religion by making the Catholics and Orthos consent to being followers of Christ, which is a paucity, to say the least. Sally Joe, like Angie's List for Christian business certification. Estuaries have sharks, pregnant bull shark mothers. I'm just saying, and lots of baby sharks. That's where sharks are born. Young God, I made a comment like TLC is good because it serves as therapy for sinners who need communications. Is that a wrong thing? No, it's funny. It came up today on the live stream, and I went like, "We've been saying this for years. TLC is nothing but group therapy." Uh, that is true. I'm just not sure that public group therapy is a good idea. It's a very Protestant idea for sure. Public group confession, but private confession was a revelation. The Irish gave us that, by the way. So let me just put it up again. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that that's good. Christian Golden had a stream a while ago, and I forget the name of it. It had a very trolly name. It was a very trolly name. I do apologize to Bruce because I sucked him in on the stream by accident. And it was him walking in the woods, claiming he was talking about TLC, or, I was all excited. I'm like, oh, this is interesting, And what it ended up being was him talking about how his drunken father, who treated his mother terrible through most of their marriage and was an alcoholic, was treated his mother better and handled her death better than he did when she finally died. And I was like, dude, this is you walking through the woods, confessing a personal family thing, and then tying it up in something about TLC? I don't know that that's good for people in the long run. I mean, this is sort of like the Lily Phillips thing, right? Like, well, maybe it's good for your bank account, but in 10 years, it'll destroy you. Like, I think TLC might be one of those because there's a lot of things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think you're necessarily wrong except about the good part. Like, I don't know that it's good. I haven't seen a lot of good come out of it. I've seen a lot of trolls come out of it. I've seen a lot of mentally ill come out of it. I've seen a lot of mentally ill that need to be saved from it. This is just what we're seeing. I mean, it's fine if you don't see that. We're not out there advertising. Like, that's not our business. We're just trying to help people. Like Mark of Wisdom Discord, that's what we do. If you're on BOM and you need help from the trauma of being on BOM, maybe you don't. Maybe it's fine. I know plenty of people on BOM fighting a good fight and going, "Oh my God, BOM's a dumpster fire," but I feel like I have to be there to help people. I'm like, "Hey man, if that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing. That's great. Keep up the good work. I salute you. Come here when you need a break. We'll help you out." And they do, and that's fine, right? And nobody talks about that, and that's fine. But like, I feel like they're just forcing me into all this, and I don't like air your own dirty laundry. Don't make me do it. Fucking lazy people. I hate lazy people. I really do. Benjamin Franklin, I have Calipigian spelling. It's semantics I have trouble with. Okay. Ixnon, estuaries are liminal and sharks are subliminal. I like it. Ixnon. Oh, that's great. I love it. I love it. Sally Joe, AA is good, not recorded. Yes, I agree. I mean, a lot of it. I mean, that's Chad, the girl dad, because I guess he's no longer alcoholic, which is good. I'm glad he doesn't identify as an alcoholic. That's his point. Like, boy, you guys are just copying AA. He used to say that all the time. Him and Lance, you guys are just copying AA. You need to copy more AA or less AA or this about AA, not that about AA. That was their whole shtick for years. Maybe it still is. I don't know. I'm not there. Oh, look, Sally. See, Young God thinks it's an shake. It's literally what they would say on BOM. All of the many discussions. There was the other thing that came up. They were like, "Oh, we could discuss this forever," and I pointed out, "Yeah, but you guys have been discussing the same thing for 6 years. The same thing. You've made no progress. So yeah, that discussion will never end because you refuse to let it end. You refuse to come to a resolution, and maybe you don't need to resolve it. But then why are you talking about it?" Sally Joe, 2019 was very good BOM, but it's time to say, "Oh, Joey doesn't run it anymore," right? And yeah, the less time Joey had for it, the less well it did. It's almost like Joey was holding it together or something. Mysterious. Very mysterious. I like this is the funny part about that estuary live stream on Vander Turkey's channel today. This is the funny part. Somebody brought up the analogy of a mall, and I'm like, wow, you're right. This is exactly like a mall. It's exactly like a mall. And the guy who set up the first mall with the first anchor store, which is roughly PVK is the anchor store of the mall, is telling everybody else to set up their own mall. Of course, they have no anchor stores, but that's a different problem, right? He doesn't talk about. And I'm like, this is like a perfect analogy. This is genius. You guys are dead on. And they did not like me carrying that analogy to its full conclusion, but you brought it up. You weren't even wrong. Oh, you don't like the truth. That's right. Some people, as Joey taught me, some people hate success. More people than you think hate success. Certain sorcerers on the internet hate success. And if you didn't catch that from the stories, you really should avoid people on the internet. If you're fooled by that story and you didn't hear the punchline, I got news for you. You're missing all the good part. Relevance realization, my friends. Relevance realization. Sally Joe also no desire to return to any part of 2019. Holy poop, 2019 was an interesting year. I was not yet on the online Z space in that way. I was all Petersoned up before 2019, but I wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't on the Discord. I don't think. Maybe. Maybe I had a Discord account, but I wasn't active on Discord in 2019. At least I don't think so. Can you share why you left in 200 characters or fewer? Come on, Sally. Why did you leave? Just because they directed you? Or rejected you, rather? Just because they repeatedly didn't take you seriously and stole your ideas? And then didn't take the rest of them seriously? The whole open studio thing on BOM, that was Sally Joe. That's why we have a working exception voice channel on my channel. We came up with one on the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis Discord too, as we were modeling DOM, which was Sally Joe's excellent idea. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she left because they rejected her art, rejected her help. And ultimately, yeah, people were mean to my friend. Well said, Sally. They really were. The way still, and they still are. They muted him twice on the live chat. And I'm like, why did you mute? And they muted me. I'm like, bro, what did I say? Come on. I'm not mean or aggressive at all. You people are freaking pansies. And I didn't say anything even remotely wrong. And I ask you, like, what did I do wrong? And you can't answer me. Well, don't freaking mute me, you muppets. So weak. Such a weak coward move. No one would own up to it either. No one owned up to muting Manuel or me. Repeatedly. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Yeah, like I said, patterns matter, right? Look for patterns of behavior where people are just, you're a meanie pants. How? Oh, nobody's a meanie pants. Oh, look, the next day, another meanie pants. You're still a meanie pants. It's like, what are you talking about? Or like, look for other patterns, like somebody fine maybe most of the time, and then every once in a while pops into a Discord channel and says F you and you suck and blah, right? And then apologizes a day later over and over again. I don't know. That might be a sign. And and nobody ever calls them out. Ever. That's a sign of a very unhealthy quote community. That was BOM. Didn't happen when Joey was there, obviously, and I also didn't report it to Joey because I'm not a pussy. So I just don't understand. I reported bad behavior occasionally, although usually my tolerance for trolls and bad behavior is way above most moderators' tolerances. This is why I don't like running things, because it's like, because by the time I kick you off my server, you've transgressed like so often that you don't have a case. In all the years running online communities in various fashions, no one has ever come back to me and asked to be let back in. Ever. Because they knew they were so embarrassed by their own behavior, by how much rope I gave them to hang themselves. They knew better. They just knew better. Psychologically, there's psychological things you can do to fix that. I don't know why Peterson doesn't talk about that stuff. Maybe he actually doesn't know. And I don't know. Philip Zimbardo, PBS. Young God, I'm going to have a potentially inappropriate questions, but let's pretend I'm autistic. Do you guys think PVK is part of the problem? Yes. He's encouraging the problem. There was a live stream on Jacob's channel, 3-4 weeks ago? PVK got called out for his bad behavior by Manuel and then by Sandy. And when Manuel said it to him, he had no reaction. And when Sandy said it to him, he was hurt. And I was like, well, maybe don't do that. I was pissed. I was just in the live chat. Manuel was so on fire. And so the last 2 or 3 big live streams that PVK he's been on, I'm just blown away. I'm like, who is this guy? This is like Manuel times a million. He was spot on. Spot on. Dawn, the dark spirit moving through the corner in 2024. Oh no, it's been there all along. That is a pit of snakes. People going after people I like Jacob and Young God. Something's wrong there. Well, something's always been wrong there. It's always been a rotten fruit from a rotten tree. Always. I have said this before. This should have been a hint. I know I've said it before. I apologize if you heard it before. There are people on there who go onto live streams and go, we miss Mark. And I know for a fact, I've seen emails and exchanges and DMs and all kinds of things. And I've had multiple reports from multiple people that several of those people who say things like that have repeatedly called PVK to not let me on streams, not talk to me, not listen to me, and call Joey to kick me off BOM. And then they come on a stream and they do that. Now, PVK knows who they are, and he doesn't stop them. Is he part of the problem? No, he's encouraging the problem because he likes to troll people. He likes to troll people. That problem has always been there. And the problem with telling people there's a pit of snakes is that, look, you might meet 1 or 2 snakes in your life, but surely there's not 20 snakes in the pit. Yeah, guess what? There were 20. The internet has a higher ratio of snakes to not snakes. Sally Joe got told I was brainwashed for my association and my agency was dismissed. I have agency. Well said, Sally. Well said. Yeah, you were treated really poorly on that Discord server and on the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis Discord server. And that was a trap. Meanwhile, they're sheltering a person who kidnaps women on the internet. and supporting pedophilia. It's wonderful people. Young God, I like Sandy. She just wears her feelings on her sleeve, for better or for worse. Yeah, I love Sandy. Sandy's great. Hope she's doing well. She was in the chat today. I mean, you can ask her about the incident. I'm sure she'll remember. PVK's behavior was horrific. I mean, it's really bad. I was shocked. I was like, bro, like, why do you think Jacob's having this? And Manuel voiced it really well. Like, Jacob's talking about this in a stream. Why do you think it doesn't matter to him? Like, where did you get that formula from? It was a hell of a stream. And yet he persists. And he doubled down basically since then. Right now it's estuary. And now apparently he and Van Donk don't agree on what estuary protocol is. And I'm like, yeah, more Protestant splitting. It's Zwingli versus Calvin versus Luther versus flavor of the month versus, yeah. I don't know. It's just, it's so funny. Also sad. And it's ruining a lot of lives. And, I mean, I still don't have an answer. I'm not necessarily looking for one. Still don't have an answer to who sick to John Grieger after me. Someone did. He said it live on the stream. I believe him. I wonder who did that. I wonder where they're from. Could have been anybody. Could have been Tyler. Tyler's done that before. I know for a fact. Whatever. Sick people after me and others to spy and to cause trouble and, didn't usually work, but sure worked a few times, but whatever. Could be someone in BOM, could be anybody. I seem to have lots of enemies somehow. Whatever. Guys, people are going to do what they're going to do. You know who else is going to do what they're going to do? Me. I will continue to do what I do. Yon God, is this protected person you spoke of still participating? Would I encounter them if I yeah, of course. It's not person, it's snakes, plural. Several people. Some people have channels that are being promoted, and some people have channels that aren't being promoted. That's a little weird. Who's deciding all that? Dun, dun, dun. Is it democratic? Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. Is it okay to threaten to hurt somebody by brandishing a knife at a camera while telling everybody you're a pacifist? Is that acceptable behavior in any space, internet or otherwise? Dun, dun, dun. It's so funny too, because people challenge me on this stuff. I'm like, so you've known me and I've never not brought the evidence, but this time you think somehow I'm lying to you. Do you think I'm coming to a gunfight without a nuclear weapon? Because I always bring a nuclear weapon. I don't know why this pattern is like not known to you, but at some point you better figure it out, because you're just going to get hit with yet another nuclear weapon. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I like to win, so we can play this game as many times as you want, but I don't know why you like to lose. But I'm okay, because I like to win. Well, let's do it. Let's dance. I'd rather have interesting conversations like I did earlier with Yon God on things that I'm a little fuzzy on or whatever. But hey, if you want to accuse me of things and be proven that you're wrong, we can do that too. Like, I guess that's what you want to do. Oh man, I whatever. Sally Joe, I draw flack over the target. Yeah, well, when does the conversation become a hindrance to implementation? That's a good question. Look, so I'd rather answer questions like this. You have a limited time, energy, and attention. Right? There's just a limit. You can spend it talking, or you can spend it working. Now, talking is not the only form of communication. And so just because you're not talking doesn't mean you're not communicating. You can communicate a lot more with actions than you can with words. It's way, way, way more efficient to communicate in actions. Can you communicate in pure actions? Well, in some cases you can. Famous. I mean, we did this in the West too, but everybody talks about it in the context of the East because waifu or something. I don't know. But like, yeah, it's very common in Japan, or it was, that you would go to the master and basically while you were working, there was no talking. It was all mimicry. Gerard has a point. Yes, Gerard's not wrong about that. And that's the problem, is that you want as little talking as possible and as much doing as possible because there's more communication that way. And talking is useful and maybe it's required, although I might be willing to fight that point. But like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you like to talk, talk. At a certain point, though, you have to measure, are you getting things done? If you've had 6 years and it took you 6 years to set up a website for the thing you think you have, there's a problem. If you got pissed off during a TLC is not real stream on Father Eric's channel and set up a website in 15 minutes on the Peterson Sphere, maybe you're the type of person that does stuff in the world. Also, visit petersonsphere.com. Is there a difference between those two things? Yes, there is. Oh my God. And that's the thing. Like, if you can't come to a resolution in a conversation, maybe it's entertainment. I'm okay with entertaining conversations. I hope everybody understands that inherently. By the pirate outfit, for example, might be a fucking hint, and the stupid freaking Hawaiian shirt from Hawaii. I bought it in Hawaii. Just saying. But if that wasn't a hint enough, there's nothing wrong with conversation. But you also have to do stuff. And you can't talk about doing stuff without also doing it. Otherwise, it's just entertainment. And you need some entertainment. But look, entertainment, like drugs, maybe you're a pothead, can get in the way of doing things in the world. That's the problem. Anselman, so good to see you, sir. Your observations, encounters are giving me more insight and adding to my unease with it all. Dude, I'm not even scratching the surface. Hop into the Market Wisdom Discord someday. Ask Manuel, Sally Joe, or I, and we can give you a run. Look. I don't want to convince people through horrific stories. I don't want to. I don't want to do it. It's time consuming. I don't like that. I don't want to demonize my friend Paul Vanderklay. I like Paul, actually. I've met him several times. But also, he knows this. He, on a live stream, said, I'm afraid that Mark Lefevre's critique of me is right and that I'm not enough of a leader. On a live stream. Okay, like, this is not, it was years ago at this, probably 3.5 years ago now. It is what it is. Like, you guys are all missing it. I get that. Fair enough. There's a lot to keep track of. I get that. This is why I do my commentaries, to show you, like, oh, you think you can track a lot, huh? No, I can track a lot. I can track a lot more than most people can, light years more. I show that in my commentary reaction videos where I haven't watched a video first. Like, I just catch all kinds of things. And I'm not catching all about. I often do these videos and go, oh, I should have brought up this point, and this point, and this point. Without watching it again. It's the nature of your brain. But like, yeah, like, there's so many bad things going on there they just like leave out and don't talk about. But there are tells, like, how long have you been around and done nothing? How many projects have been launched and failed? How many people running things have you gone through? These are good tells for a bad system. And maybe things are being held together by pure charisma. Paul's a very charismatic guy. And winsomeness causes high churn because people can come in. But when anybody can come in and anybody can stay, you're going to get problems. Ixnon, you still need a parrot. Thank you for the reminder. I might actually leave my house someday. I was sick, to be fair, but yeah, I really should leave the house. I didn't get out on Wednesday because I didn't get up, whatever. I don't even know why. They had a breakfast thing. It wasn't the normal thing, but I have to get up, leave the house, not be mission oriented, and go to a place of shopping. I think they call them a mall, maybe. We have almost no malls down here because they built a bunch of malls because they were using a bad financial model, and all the malls in the South fail, almost universally. I mean, there's a couple big ones here and there, but for every big mall that's still open, there's 5 that are closed. It's really bad. I can just take you around Columbia. Here's a mall there, a mall there. They're demolishing one of them. I think they moved the Barnes and Nobles and everything. So, yeah. Oh, well. Yon God. I let NATO do things for me because why not? You don't have a choice. Benjamin Franklin, leadership towards what? Whoops. I mean, towards what outcome? Yeah, well, look, I don't know. If you don't have a telos, do you have a thing? I mean, this is Father Eric's point on Eric Seitz channel about TLC. If you don't have a stated goal, how do you have a thing? Hanselman, it's my liking of PVK and my hope in him that keeps me there. Yeah, no. I think that's why I jumped on to this weird live stream, because I've been ignoring his live streams quite successfully for a year. But that one caught my attention, and I don't know why. I had work to do. I had to prepare for this, but that turned out to be a way better. I don't know what's going on. I'm just saying, I used to be a little uptight. I'm like, oh, I've got to get a topic by Tuesday for Friday. Now I'm like, look, man, if it happens 2 hours before, it'll work out. I don't know why. I have no idea why, and it will, and it has. Fingers crossed. But also, seems pretty reliable. Seems pretty reliable. I don't have a way to explain it. Yon God, that's a Catcher in the Rye reference for fun. Oh, God. Catcher in the Rye, worst book ever written. RJ, Mark, if you chat GPT, who is PVK and what is this little corner? You won't be disappointed. Maybe I shall. Thank you, sir. I will give that a shot. Oh my God, oh bro, I need to do this. And then go watch Father Eric's channel. I mean, that's his biggest video, was the one on TLC, which I found he is not happy about that at all. That is his most. He's got some great work on there, and that's his most popular video. I think he's like, oh. But look, Jordan Peterson showed us there's a Lost Boys contingent. Sorry, I spelled your name wrong. Hurried dyslexic tonight. Dude, it's you. It's me. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Also, I like the French spelling better. I don't know why my grandfather's name, M-A-R-C. My father's M-A-R-K, and I'm M-A-R-K. I'm not a junior, by the way. But yes, it's totally fine. Please, don't apologize for that at all. I was rather happy with it, but whatever. Sally, yes, please give that more views. Lol. Now, Sally just wants to troll poor Father Eric. It's a good TLC video, I thought. I mean, you can watch Jacob change his mind, which is always amusing. I love it when Jacob changes his mind. This is what I like about Jacob. He'll change his mind. He makes a decision. He stands where he stands. This is why I support Jacob, even though I don't. Whatever. He kicked me off his StreamYard and everything a year and a half ago or whatever it was. But whatever. There's probably reasons behind that maybe would surprise everybody, but whatever. Not going to dump that dirty laundry. So this is why I support Jacob, because If he's wrong and he figures it out, he'll fix it. And that's a rare quality, my friends. Nassim Taleb writes about this. Read all his books. Nassim Taleb writes about this, right? That's the kind of person you want. The kind of person that will find their mistakes or be made aware of their mistakes and change their mind. He has a story too. I forget which book it's in his brain, but in one of his books, he says he had a deal with George Soros, I think, him and his buddy, to do some kind of investment thing. And they had lunch with Soros, and Soros was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds a cool idea." And then the next day, Soros like called him up and said, "Yeah, I changed my mind." And Taleb wasn't mad or anything. He said, "Oh, okay, whatever. Like that's fine, understandable. Like you should think about things and change your mind." And I'm like, "Yeah, abso-freaking-lutely, you should. Abso-freaking-lutely." So yeah, I mean, that's the good thing about you. And Jacob he's not perfect. I'm not saying he's perfect. He's really good at calling out bad behavior and evil. And he's very tolerant, which I don't like because tolerance is evil, but like, yeah, it's uh it's interesting. Don, Jacob made an announcement he's removing a bunch of people for reasons I don't remember. Yeah, well, whatever. Nothing personal. Yeah, look, Jacob's on a mission to do a very specific thing. I don't like that mission, but I support Jacob as a person. I do that with lots of people. Like, I don't support your mission, but I like when I was on Awakening from Meaning Crisis, Manuel and I did not like Ritnar, the religion that's not a religion. At no point did we like that idea, not even for 10 and a half seconds. Didn't happen. We did a whole 3-part series with somebody else about why we thought Ritnar was a bad idea and what we thought was wrong about John Vervaeke's thinking and everything. It was a wonderful set of videos. It's on the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis YouTube or Discord YouTube. I know it's hard to find. Also, I have links somewhere, so if you need them, you can come to the Mark of Wisdom Discord. I give them to you. You can ask for them and whatever. Email one of the websites, markofwisdom.org or petersonsphere.com. We'll figure it out. We'll put them up there. I think I have them linked somewhere in one of my videos, but one of the commentaries, I think. But that that whole thing around Vervaeke and the whole thing around Vanderklay never cross pollinated for a reason. Everyone's noticing the same thing. There's a bunch of lost boys, mostly men. You see the meaning crisis play out in women differently. I call that the intimacy crisis. A little tricky because I'm playing a couple games there for sure, right? The intimacy crisis, what happens in women, the meaning crisis happens in men. There's a time lag because reasons that I could go into, right? And this is the problem is that people aren't recognizing that. And EVK always had the best take, right? His take was Peterson brings people up like an escalator and drops them off, and there's no one there to catch them at the end and take them the rest of the way. That is so correct. It's PVK's greatest hits, if you could just stick to them, I think there's 5, maybe 6. I can't name them off the top of my head. I apologize. I used to be able to about 6, 7 months ago. Are great. God 1, God 2, The Church is an Ideal, which isn't entirely PVK's work, but whatever. He popularized it. Eyes Up, Eyes Down. I don't remember. There's at least 2 more. I don't remember. This is great work. He won't stick to it because he claims ADHD or whatever. It's like, I know, discipline, but whatever. Protestants aren't disciplined. Young God, can you give a critique on Eric Weinstein? Barf. I remember him giving Taleb compliments one time, and I'm wondering if he still has relevant things to say. Still? You mean ever? I don't like Eric. I never liked Eric. I'm used to people like Eric because I used to hang out at MIT, and Eric style thinkers and Eric approximate IQ people are not even remotely rare in Boston. Like it's hang out at MIT. You'll meet a bunch of Eric Weinsteins for sure. It's not they're not my favorite people. You know, a lot of them stray into bad behavior because they're smart. And the archetype of the evil genius is something we've ignored in society because of the agenosis, where we think knowledge is the highest value and knowledge is propositional. And that's what John Vervaeke talks about in terms of propositional tyranny. John's not wrong. Missing a lot of nuance. So I don't like Eric. Eric did a talk. I've been trying to find it. Young God, maybe you can find it. I think the talk was in 2009 or 2010. Eric was at a podium speaking at some kind of event. I tried to use Perplexity and a couple other things to try and find this talk. He's talking about the 2008 housing crisis. This is everything wrong with Eric Weinstein. Everything he said about was like either nominally correct, but irrelevant or completely incorrect. And his claim was, had you listened to us wicked smart math guys, we could have seen this coming. And I'm like, bro, it was basic fraud. All the math in the world was not going to find basic fraud. Banks were lying about what they owned. Period. End of statement. It's not hard. And a bunch of people did find it, by the way. Watch The Big Short. Also, they contributed to the problem instead of fixing it. Guys like Eric bother me for that reason. They're too smart to do and fix simple problems. Andre, 68p of knowing, perfect knowing. Oh, I like perfect knowing. That's good. Sally Joe. Awakened from Mean Crisis is creepy and aggressively passive aggressive. Sorry, Sally, we tried to make it better, but we fixed a lot of people there, to be fair. We've developed a lot of stuff. Look at what happened to Manuel. It was great. Read Eric's geometric unity paper that he published as a work of fiction. It's hilarious. Also true. Right. We said it was a work of entertainment or something. And then Jacob defended this by saying it was copyright. And I went, thought you went to law school, bro. So, I don't know. Some of the footnotes are like, I've lost my notes for this part, so I can't explain it. Nice. Yeah. I mean, if you were on Discord and you know what happened with Eric's Discord, then you know everything you need to know about Eric. And if you don't know that story, you can ask Sally Joe someday. She'll go into it. I think Manuel knows most of it. I only know bits and pieces. I was never on a stupid Discord. Ixnon, God 1 and God 2 are terrible labels. Maybe, but the point's really good about the split. I did troll them today about making the split inappropriately, we'll say. Like, the whole point of being Anglo-Catholic or being religious as such is to unify the world. Young God, all the math in the world is not going to find a basic fraud is nice. Thank you. I like it too. But this is why these people talk. I've been doing foolish me. Don't ever watch Frontline. Every episode of PBS Frontline is just everything that's been wrong with the world since forever. So I watched this PBS Frontline thing. Maybe I mentioned this last time, but whatever. I'll mention it again because it's just bothering me. The guy is sitting there. He's a banker in front of Congress under oath saying, we were betting against our portfolio while we were selling to the investors as a good deal. And I'm like, okay, take his stuff, put him in cuffs, and throw him in a prison. He's under oath. He's in front of Congress. He's just admitted to a fundamental inherent contradiction in behavior. That means he has to be lying. There's no way to not lie when those are the conditions, right? So we don't need a trial at all in a case like that. There's no purpose. You're just paying lawyers to be lawyers, right? And no arrest. Every episode of Frontline is like that. Doesn't matter what they're talking about. It's watch the Frontline on what is it? Flint, Michigan. Holy freaking, oh my, CEOs are getting shot. Not soon enough. Not CEOs in that case, but holy freaking, the female head of, it's not the FDA. It's one of the other organizations federally under Obama. Oh, we don't care about the poor kids in Flint, Michigan. Like, what? Excuse, I mean, they did fire her, but I'm like, did you say what? I mean, like, this happened and no one went to prison immediately. The number of people that need to go to prison for Flint, Michigan, like yesterday, is off the charts. Just one front line, just one on any top. Yep, yeah, it's terrible. Sally Joe, the portal was a whole deal. Got really excited about it at one point. Yeah, art, everything else. Andre, oh yeah, that's right. Sally Joe, been very disappointing to see him play with the whole COVID Trump arrangement. Yeah, yeah. Everybody's playing out Trump arrangement and COVID. Leftists gonna leftist. Hitler was a leftist. Andre, I know the portal, the second one very well. Yeah, well, that's a long story. Yeah, the first one was already the splitting of the splits is a different. Sent Erica portal painting even. Yeah, these people that don't want to participate, they don't want to let artists in. Right? They say we need more art, and then an artist engages with them and sends them art, and they don't critique it. They don't try to make it better. They don't work with them. They just reject them. These aren't good people. I didn't do that. Sally Joe's like, I want to make art. Like, okay, I will help you make art. You're doing fine. You're doing great. Every day, little encouragements. Right? Why? I wanted to succeed. I didn't even like her early art. Don't tell her. Shh. She won't know. She already knows this. Don't work with artists. Oh my goodness. Do you have any idea how long it took an artist, a good artist, Sally Joe, to do something simple like this? I could have strangled her. I tried. Ah. Anyway, Sally Joe, talked to him at like 2 a.m. several times, and then the Bro Consortium lost their ever-loving minds because he was trying to talk to me. And the one whole other woman on the portal instead of them. Psycho. Can confirm. They changed the room size to destroy our conversation. Yeah. Yeah. That's why. That was one of the conversations they were having the SGR live stream. It just cracked me up. I was like, have you not been on the internet before? It's like, it's so funny. I'm like, you guys just haven't been on the internet. You're internet newbies. They're like, Mark Parker was apparently going to bring in the OnlyFans girls and evangelize to them. And I'm like, oh, whatever. Yeah. Andrew Wilson's already doing this on the Whatever podcast. So I just suggested to Mark, like, hey, check out the Whatever podcast. Especially when Andrew Wilson's on. It'll give you a good idea what you're up against here. You know, I mean, Andrew Wilson, according to him, and I have no reason not to believe him, he seems like a good guy. He's very smart too. He has some success helping these women get off OnlyFans. You know, and I don't know how major it is, or I don't care. If it's one, it's enough. I'm fine. I'm totally like, one is a win. Thank you very much. But they're like, oh, I wonder what would happen if the men's aggression would go down if there were more women in the space. And I'm like, holy shit. Could you like open a psychology book or like look at other people, maybe leave the house, interact with, use your brain, inference, a little logic, just a little, not the super hard logic either, just the easy logic, not the logic for an allegory in Plato's cave, like the real simple, like men compete over women. The aggression will go up. Like, I don't know I'd have to tell anybody that. Apparently I had to tell them all that. I'm like, you morons. They're all morons. Fantasy. It's all fantasy over there with those Muppets. Unicorns and rainbows. Sally Joe, last time I was on the portal, a drunk Australian screamed, put a baby in it at me. Like, literally, I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. Actually, Sally, I think you were barefoot and pregnant, actually in the kitchen when it happened. But yes, it couldn't. It was bad. Andre, I think I knew who that might be. It wasn't you. Mepit. It doesn't matter. Like, those people were, this is what I mean by observe. You're telling a pregnant woman to get pregnant. Do you live in the real world? No, you don't. And then you go, what is reality? You don't need to ask that question. You need to stop resisting the reality of talking to you all the time, okay? Why do I have to explain this? This feels weird. Reality is that which objects to your subjective experience. You don't need to quote know it. It will make itself known to you if you just pay attention. Fucking morons. Sally Joe, I nothing and mostly pathetic. No reason to be there though. That's the problem. Like, right? What's your reason for doing what you're doing? What's your reason for being? What's the other person's reason for doing what they're doing? This is how you know it's clown world. And clown world is a fantasy. Now we mimic, but we don't mimic perfectly because we don't see perfectly. You need eyes to see. That's somewhere written down. I'm sure of it. I didn't read it, but I know someone told me it was written down. If you look at the government and you see people being corrupt, when you get to the government, you will think corruption is the way the government works. That will increase the government corruption over time. Bill Clinton. I'm sorry. Just a little frog in my throat. Play that out over time, and then we'll chat. If I know I used this before, I don't know why. Just nothing ever has the landing power I expect. It's like I'm about to drop a Hiroshima-sized nuclear weapon on your head, and you're like, huh? I think I felt some water. If you think what made The Matrix a great movie was bullet time and the fight scenes, go watch the sequels. Suppose you copied that pattern and made a sequel movie. I like the Matrix sequels, right? The Matrix has lots of philosophical concepts. The first sequel has probably a little bit less than half as many, but they're deeper. And the third one has half as many again, but they're much deeper. I like that about it. Also, everything about the symbolism is wrong and it's a psyop, but I still love the movies. Sorry. And don't just watch the first one. I will find you. I will find you. You really should watch all three because the message from the first one really comes out by the third one. Don't watch the fourth one. That's a plague upon the human race. And it's stated as such in the beginning of the movie. I think I mentioned this, right? I just saw a video the other day. It was like, the Matrix was made to be the way it is. It was made to go after the studio. I'm like, they say that in the beginning of the, like in no uncertain terms in the beginning of the movie. Why do we need a YouTube video? This is Clown World, right? Like, did you watch it? He says that in the beginning. I'm making this because I'm forced to, not because I want to. And this is the big F you to the studio. He actually says almost exactly that, or she, or it, or whatever it is this week. I can't keep track. Sally Joe, took forever to find people who actually wanted to do a thing because doing a thing and talking about a thing and doing anything not the same. Yeah, hobby, right? Well, and the other thing, Sally, right? Like, once you start doing things, everything changes, and sometimes you lose people, and that's sad. I wish that when you were doing things and people were helping you, they would just keep helping you, but whatever. You can only try to be friends with people and hope that they want to participate. Sally Joe, not even in no credit domain. Yeah. It's amazing to me because a lot of people hate success because success is a judge. How many people will just firebomb all projects? Like BOM, they wanted to have a product. They want to write some software. There's a bunch of software engineers on BOM, or there were anyway. I don't know what it is like now. They wanted to have a software project so that they could create local meetups. Now, person who created BOM, Joey, was like, yeah, Jordan Peterson Meetup Group. That's what he started. Right? So when they claim that was an estuary, that's a lie. It's not a lie. It's a lie. As a Jordan Peterson Meetup Group, Joey did it. PVK didn't do that. John Van Donk didn't do that. Joey did that. Be clear. Okay? super successful, really cool. That's what caused the Discord server that Joey built. He built like 12. BOM has like 14 Discord servers. Right, because immediate Protestant splitting. Because you couldn't leave it like all the writers people. Like I was on I think I still am, the BOM writers group Discord. Like they had their own, and they were doing book clubs on there and stuff. I went to a couple of them. Um, I just big time commitment at the time. We had lots of stuff going on our server, so we couldn't spend a lot of time on there. Lots of projects. 300 pages of notes. Actually, no, I split them apart literally the other day. Chew 150 pages of notes, something like that. Split the notes file in half. Back then, when we started this project to like build meetups, because I design software, I'm a software architect, among other things, systems architect, and a software engineer, among other things. I said, all right, what's the problem? Joey and I and some others talked about it. And I said, all right, here's the architecture I would use. It was pretty cool, by the way, if I do say so myself. It's not a unique problem. Not like, oh, I came up with a unique, no, just applied because I've been doing this for decades. I just applied a solution that is well known to this particular problem. And Donk was, quote, running it, and he immediately pushed back. And eventually Joey said, if you want something done your way, you can pay for it. This is a volunteer army. This is what they've decided. It will meet your needs. But if you want it done your way with your implementation, then go get some money and pay us. And I was like, sounds fair to me. I mean, as long as you pay me enough money, I'll implement whatever the hell you want. I'm a consultant. That's what I do. Like, I will do it your wrong way all day long. If that's what you're paying for, I don't care. It's fine with me. If you want the right answer, you can pay me even more money, but then you have to listen to me and actually do it. Maybe you can't. Fair enough. Still pay me the money though. Like, then you're not paying for results. That's fine. I don't care. That's the problem. People don't like success because success is the judge. And if they're not successful in the way they expect or in the way they think you are, is my trick, right? The kids used to come on and Elon Musk isn't that smart. I'm smarter than him. I should have as much money as him. And I'd go, okay. Do you sleep under your desk at work? And they're like, oh, I'd never do that. Maybe that's why you don't have as much money as Elon Musk. I don't tell them they're not smarter than Elon Musk. Maybe they are. I don't know. I also don't care. That's not why Elon Musk has money. I know people smarter than Elon Musk that don't have any money. There's no correlation there, my friend. None. Zero. There's an inverse correlation between IQ and income. Inverse. No one tells you that. Right. They don't tell you that. No. Weird. Yeah. Propositional tyranny confirmed. Right. The set of skills needed to start a business. This is why the majority of successful self-made millionaires dropped out of college. They did not complete a college degree. The majority. This is people that didn't inherit money, dropped out of college, is because there is an inverse correlation. The set of skills needed to do business well is not found in MBA class, by the way. Not that that can't do you well. Anything could do you well, that in particular. But it's because there's an inverse correlation between intelligence, because that set of skills is different. We measure education differently, and making money. Read the 10-Day MBA by Steven Silberger. That's more likely to make you money. And also Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Excellent book. Sally Joe, implementation is greater than information. Yelp, at some point, attention to information is crippling. Yeah, well said, Sally. I wonder where you learned that from. That's pretty smart. Yeah, video on all that flood of information stuff. I'm just behind. Being ill for over a week really did not help me. I'm behind on videos. Although I think I've got the animation done, a new animation. And then I think what we're going to do is I'm gonna do the realm of transformative coupling this weekend, hopefully. I hope I can focus long enough to do a couple videos. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm almost done with the animation. I can do the voiceover on it and maybe change the length and hope my editor hasn't melted down because I haven't seen him in a while and I keep checking in on him and I'm not getting comfy, happy answers out of him as to how he's doing. Hope I don't have to drive up to New York. But I will if I have to. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what Yon God. Are the charges against Elon a show? What charges? Are they potential to begin his downfall? I don't know. I don't know what charges, including the reappropriation of his assets. Charges came out a few. I don't know what charges there are. Like, who cares? People go to jail and keep their business empires all the time. Also, George Soros crashed the Bank of England through deception and pure evil, and people have been trying to charge him for years. The De Beers family is charged in several countries that they can no longer go to. Sally Joe is water wet on Mars. Dun dun dun. Oh, by the way, you will never go to Mars and live there. In order to live on Mars, you need to be genetically modified. So whatever lives on Mars will not be human. I forget Jim's last name, but Jim was the head of NASA. He used to say this on Clubhouse all the time. I'm like, you go, Jim. Jim's a good guy. He's an interesting fellow. Awakening to the Muppet Crisis. Welcome, sir. Why are Western people more divisive than previous generations? Well, that's the Protestant splitting, my friend. Welcome to hell. Look, if the pattern you follow or mimic is individualism, which is an impossible condition and cannot ever exist. You're not an individual. You've never been an individual. No one else has either. You never will have been an individual. That ain't how it works. When you try to act like one, you end up with Lily Phillips. And then you end up with the people going, why are you blaming the woman? Because it's her body, her choice. If the men deny her access to the thing that she wants, then it's her body, their choice. Technically, you're not logicking well. If you didn't see the contradiction, that might be a hint that something's wrong. How do you know what Lily Phillips is doing is wrong? Because it's full of inherent contradictions. Contradictions are an indication that you are not aligned with reality. Paradoxes are the same. They're limitations on your thinking or your worldview. You're going to have a limited worldview. It's fine. Just recognize there's a paradox. Oh, don't go near that. Right. Don't dive into it and go, I'm going to get to the other side of the black hole, guys. No, don't do that. It's called nihilism. It'll kill you. Yeah. If you don't take seriously formation, which is actually what we're referring to, or most people are referring to when they say education, then what happens is people have to form themselves. Well, what are they going to form themselves pattern after? Money? Lily Phillips? How much money am I making? Also weird. I don't know if this is true. This is what I heard. I was into Carl Benjamin on this and stuff. Apparently, she makes $600,000 a month on her OnlyFans. But then when she did her little stunt, she made like $100,000. And I'm like, I don't know, bro. Didn't seem worth it to me. Why do you need $100,000? That's lame. I got $100,000 for a day. You already get $600,000 a month. What are you doing? Carl made the same point. Also, his take on this is, I don't know. I love Carl Benjamin. Also, really, dude, you need upgrades. Need some upgrades, bro. Have him call me. Straight him up. When you pattern after this, because you got to pattern after something. Like formation has to occur. Otherwise, you end up with a bunch of children. Children saving the world in the media since the 1980s. Huh. Anyway, probably not a pattern at all. When you have that, you're going to model some exemplification. Maybe you're going to say, oh, all the people who are wealthy are smart, and therefore I need to be smart. And maybe you don't know what smart means, and maybe you go after education, and maybe that education is a type of formation, and maybe that formation is taken over by ideologues, and then maybe you have Wilfrid Laurier and Evergreen and whatever UFT did to Peterson. I'm just throwing these out there. I mean, this is all hypothetical. Like, yeah, what do you think's happening? They're mimicking bad patterns because you don't. That's the trick with Musk, right? Yeah. Oh, you think Musk only does this way because that's all you see in the pattern. You missed the fact we talks about sleeping under his desk at PayPal to make it a success. Oh, 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 Musk didn't start Tesla. No, but those losers were losing money and couldn't make it happen because they're losers. So, yeah, he made it work, which, by the way, electric cars aren't impossible. So the fact that he makes them work is kind of a miracle. I'm all for it, but actually, it's not true. I hate Teslas with a blinding passion. The people that drive them are terrible. Young Gods, the answer was it's a show. Well, no, it's not a show. Awakening to the Muppet Crisis. Being an individual therefore removes you from your family and starting a family. Yeah, well, I mean, trying to be an individual is the intimacy crisis. It's not the only cause, but when you try to be an individual, you cut yourself off, much like a clown. You remove yourself from the normative order. You try to separate yourself from normal interactions. And then, of course, you could do the TLC trick where you try to recreate those interactions because you still need those things that you separated yourself from. You just didn't like how they were being imposed upon you. It's like, well, that's too bad. Like, that's how it works. That's how it's always worked. That's how it always will work. It's the only way it can work because it turns out that you were born into a world bigger than you. That's what facilitates the fact that you can be in it, the fact that it's bigger than you. I don't know why this is confusing to people, but this one point seems to be more confusing to more, quote, smart people than any other point I've ever seen. I mean, it's almost like they're struggling with 2 + 2 = 4. Like, yes. I mean, we could go all Heidegger, which I think that came up in the live stream too, and call it thrownness. But like, you'd have to be 4 years old to come up with a stupid term like that for something so blindingly obvious. But then again, maybe Heidegger was as intellectually astute as a 4-year-old. Could be. He became a Nazi after all. I don't know. Maybe don't follow that philosophy if it leads to Nazism. That might be a good life hint. Why do I have to say these things? Why? Why am I in upside down world? When you separate yourself from the world and find out you have to rebuild these things from scratch and you can't, or to the extent that you want to, you can't, you just have to submit to the fact that there are pre-existing relationships there. Like you're going to have terrible relatives. You don't have a choice about your relatives. You were thrown into this world with the relatives you were thrown with. That's a stupid way to talk. God, how did anybody read anything he wrote? I'm sorry, but if you fell for that idiot, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just can't. You just retarded. The guy's retarded. Everything he wrote was retarded. It's just retarded. He wrote about technology. It wasn't wrong. Yeah, the Unabomber wrote about technology and wasn't wrong. Okay. Unabomber killed people. How did he become a Nazi? Like, what? Who cares? Like, why are you listening to these lunatics? Why? Outcomes. So when you try to reproduce these things and you want them to work a certain way and they don't, you end up doing weird things like David did today. Not Grim Grizz. What's his name? Busatil? Something like that. And you go, wow, there's like a person behind the troll. I'm like, why? Why would this be a revelatory conclusion? Did you think trolls were run by computers? I don't understand why this is a revelation. So you intimacy crisis yourself. You scramble to get those relationships back. You try to build them procedurally because you're talking about them. And look, propositions and procedures go together like this, man. And instead of spending your time actually acting them out in the world, participating, right, which requires poetic ways of interfacing. And that's it. Sally Joe. If children are saving the world, it's child sacrifice. That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. Did I think of it that way? I don't think I've thought about it that way, quite that way before. Thanks, Sally. It's gross and an abdication of responsibility for adults. Right. Well, and we had a lot of that. I mean, especially from the 60s. Individualism leads to suicide. Yeah, because you remove yourself from the world. And you can't because you need the world. And the world needs you, right? I mean, ultimately, you need the world, and the world needs you to be better. So I know, do that. Why is this hard? This shouldn't be hard. This should be easy. But I guess if you think you have no agency, or if you're okay with getting 50% damage against the damage I'm about to do you, and then you think that's defense against the dark arts, you idiot. God, how are people this dumb? That if logic, reason, rationality run the world, and you fell for that, you better hope you're wrong about logic, reason, rationality running the world, buddy, because you ain't got none. Like, you're out of the race for sure. Like, good Lord. Like, pray, mofo, pray. Andre, a lot more leads to suicide than just individualism. Yeah. Yeah. Well, sure. We weren't. Suicide is pretty nonchalant. Don, did you see Jacob's conversation with his porn bomber? No, I didn't see that. He was a real person and really weird. Yeah, well. I don't. The only agents, unless you're Anglo-Catholics, the only agents in the world are humans. I don't know what to tell you. It's not to say animals have no agency, but the only true agents in the world are actually people. Jan God, I mean, I assume persons think VNA is a joke and they play around and donate out of pity. That's how I considered it. Okay, you can say that. And this was the point that I made. And of course, a demon came out when I made this point. If you want to see a demon in the live chat, go check out the PVK stream from earlier today. You'll see a demon in the live chat. So I pointed this out. I said, telling people they have no agency is bad. And then I got this demon coming out telling me, it's a joke. It's supposed to be funny. Blah. And I was like, there's no laugh track. Doesn't seem funny to me. I don't know why you tell somebody that as a joke. I don't know what context you think is there to make it a joke. But yes, you can interpret it as a joke and somebody else may not. In fact, every other person on the planet may not. And then they may have to come to us, which has happened more than once, and say, oh my goodness, this was bothering me and making me worse and aggravating my mental illness. That's happened more than once. So you can, it's a joke to me because I'm intellectually superior all day long. Also, you're making everything in the world worse. I know disrespect, but also for freaking real, dude. Like, don't slough things off as jokes because you think they're funny. They might not be funny. That's the problem. You can interpret them that way. Sure. I don't think, like, I think that's the problem too. Like, oh, ho, ho, Grim Grizz says something funny. Oh, he's so right. He shouldn't have been a transcriptionist for a doctor. And what was that doctor thinking when he said you could do this better with Google than with me, which was a lie, by the way, that was not true. And so quit his job because the guy wouldn't fire him because technology took over the role. You quit your job because you wanted technology to put you out of the job so that you could be a victim and then go online and take donations from people and spend it on smoking pot. Really? And then everybody goes, ha, 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 so funny. And I'm like, I don't know, man. That sounds like a disturbed mind to me. Like, is that funny? I don't find it funny. I kind of take it seriously, given his history, which Sally Joe kind of talked about a little bit of it, although not in depth. This seems like a pattern, not a good pattern. Do you take a bunch of mentally ill people and talk about conspiracies all day? Is that good for them? Is that good for you? Is that good for the world? I don't understand. Like, where's your argument? Like, I'm I'm here. I'm open to the argument. Could we have the discussion? Or do you just say, well, I like to have difficult discussions, unless they're about something I think is funny, in which case I'm not going to talk to you. I'm just going to say, ha, ha, ha. Because that's what's going on. Right? Is it okay to take mentally ill people and shove conspiracy up their ass, especially when you're bad at conspiracies, by the way? No, it's not. Do you know why? Because the world needs you to be better. You know what the world doesn't need you to be? Entertained. It doesn't need that. I'm not saying you shouldn't entertain yourself. You absolutely should. Be very careful with what. And you should make sure it's entertainment and not enchantment. And if you watch The Matrix and you didn't understand that no one ever escaped the Matrix, then maybe that entertainment is not good for you. I'm not even sure it's good for me. Jesse, when are we doing that video? Jesse. P.S. You live in an enchanted, and then you never pray alone. Stay inspired, my friends. Yes. Yes. If you live in an enchanted world, right. Well, prayer will re-enchant the world for you. Yeah. Prayer alone, proper prayer, not meditation. Meditation unenchants the world. I'm not saying I hate meditation. I'm saying you got to be very careful. Only do it with a group. Do not meditate alone. Because when you pray, you're going outside and up. Unless you're an occultist, in which case you're evil. Don't do that. When you pray, you're going outside and up. So you're re-enchanting the world because you're looking up. It's not the only reason, but it's the primary reason. Sally Joe. Corrupting the soul. Super funny, super cute. Or, evil. Because it looks evil. So it is. And to be clear, I personally am a no on evil. In case anybody asks, position hasn't changed. Still a no on evil. And people get upset, like, you can't judge evil. No, actually, I can, and you better be able to, or you're screwed, because it will eat you. Don't let evil use you for its purpose. Like, you better know what evil is. It's okay to maybe not know the good, or at least in the way you want, or whatever. No one cares what you want. Sorry. The universe doesn't give a shit about you, right? Goodness doesn't care about you. God may care about you, but goodness doesn't. Nor does truth or beauty. Sorry. That's why personification is important. Oh, Trinity, no. But yes, important. If you don't know what to avoid, you'll eat the fruit, dumbass. We're living in the age of gnosis. Everyone's like, I got to know this. I got to go to school. I got to learn this. I'm like, we ate the apple and we sinned, so I'm going to find more apple trees and eat more apples? Like, what do you say? I don't understand. Like, I really don't. I'm like, what? Are you sure? Like, more bad? Is that supposed to get you to the good? I don't understand the thesis. I'm going to get back into the garden by eating all the apples, not just one bite of one apple. What? Like, that's what's happening. That's why it's clown world. That's why it's upside down. More knowledge. Yeah, more knowledge will not help. But it will make things worse. Maybe no. Maybe I'm a no on making things worse. Can we not make things worse? Wouldn't that be great? Ah, man. All right, look. Lots of history. Check the history of the things you're involved in. See how long they've been around and what they've accomplished in that time. How many people have been in and out? High churn is not a good thing. Right? If you can't keep audience and grow audience, why? Dead malls. Why? Apply the analogy. I thought it was a perfect analogy, actually. I'm like, these guys are quite smart sometimes. Doesn't lead in the direction they think it does often because they're not that smart, but fair enough. All right, everybody. I should be around. I'm not traveling. I don't know what the topic will be next week, but whatever it is, I'm sure the minute I pick it, it's just going to swell up magically in front of me because, man, I don't know how many times this has happened, but kind of cool. And hopefully somebody will join me. Maybe Castle will not be busy. And hopefully we'll get out Russian Revolution, animation, slide, and maybe a Matrix video with Jesse before the end of the year. I don't know. I got to talk to him again. I got to jump in that document. Also, I got to finish my book because now Castles needs that finished. So, I should be able to do all that though. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm feeling better. I think I'm mostly recovered from my kidney infection. So hopefully it doesn't flare back up again. But yeah, have a great week, everybody. Thanks for joining. Tell your friends, threaten your enemies, whatever it takes. And yeah, we'll do Rachel Fulton Brown probably in January, if not sooner. I don't think I can get her sooner. That's fine. On politeness and etiquette and why that's important. She's already talked about it on her channel about a year ago with one of her Aussie friends. I didn't know she had Aussie friends. Pretty funny. So look, thanks for joining, and I'll see you next week. And try to have a good week, and try to be better, and try to make everybody else better. And watch for the things I told you. And when the book comes out eventually, there'll be more in there. So I might put something about that in there. So take care of yourself.